Arrest him right now. He's trespassing. The loud, high-pitched voice of the HOA president cut through the chilly Texas night as red and blue lights cast across the parched driveway. I had just stepped out of my truck after a 12-hour drive from Washington when two officers closed in on me, their flashlights blinding. Before them was an enraged woman, blonde locks immaculate, suit impeccable, and a smile chiseled out of sheer arrogance. "I don't listen to whatever he has to say. This property is in HOA hands," she snarled, believing she already held my destiny in her pocket. She had no idea that I had headed the federal agency watching over HOAs across the country back in Washington. My department had broken up more than 300 corrupt HOAs. And now, through sheer irony, one of their own had called the police on me on my own land. My name is Nathan Hayes, and this was supposed to be my first genuine break in 15 years. A few quiet days at my grandfather's old ranch, fresh air, perhaps a couple of fishing trips. But rather, I drove headlong into a small-town battleground commanded by a woman whose anger had simmered for decades. The first hour of what I have come to refer to as the Willowbrook War started the moment my tires grated over the gravel driveway. For the first time in months, I was calm, observing the porch light shine behind the wooden fence my grandfather constructed with his own two hands. And then the sirens, two police cars slicing through the silence. "Sir, we received a report of a break-in," one of the officers said hesitantly. I held up my hands. "Officer, misunderstanding. This property belongs to my family." Before I could produce my phone, she emerged, Margaret Williams, Willowbrook HOA's queen of regulation. Even in the dark, her perfume and command hung in the air. "Thank you, officers," she said with a sweetness. "As I informed you, he's trespassing. HOA regulations prohibit anyone on the premises after dark." Her smile became vicious when she turned to me. "We have to keep our community safe from strangers." Officer Rodriguez, older and cynical, looked at me. "Do you have evidence, sir?" I unfolded the deed on my phone, habit of a guy who's been through too many property scams. Since 1947, I told him, William Hayes purchased it after the war. Rodriguez nodded slowly. "Everything is fine. Apologies for the confusion." Margaret's smirk wavered. "Ma'am, this property is not subject to HOA control." But she wasn't finished. She leaned forward close, voice full of venom. 20 years ago, your father devastated my family. He killed our resort project, tore everything down. Now it's your turn. You've got 72 hours to vacate before HOA regulations take over." Her heels clicked away like a countdown timer. I recalled my grandfather's final words, "Watch out for the neighbors." That evening, beneath the susurrus wine through the oaks, I knew it wasn't about borders. It was blood feud masquerading as bylaws. Before I could even start unpacking my duffel, I knew peace wasn't on the horizon. The evening was still resonating with Margaret's threat when the dawn broke with a foul surprise. 47 shiny orange HOA violation notices stuck all over my porch like crime scene. Standing in my grandfather's robe, coffee smoking in my hand, I read them individually. Grass too high by half an inch. Mailbox color not approved. Truck parked outside past 10. Fence a whole inch too high. Visible coffee mug on porch. Okay, $300. Each letter was stamped with Margaret's sweeping signature, stamped through the night. She'd walk my yard for hours with a flashlight and tape measure. The final note was written by hand. "Nathan, your grandfather's exemptions passed with him. Sell in 70 hours. Buyers are waiting. Don't make this difficult. P.S. Judge Harrison is sending his regards." The name struck me like a bullet. Harrison had finagled his way past 3 corruption investigations on my watch. If Margaret had him in her camp, this was larger than small-time revenge. Standing there, attempting to calm my heartbeat, a gentle voice called from the other side of the fence, Linda Thompson, fidgeting neighbor with a manila folder in her hand. "Mr. Hayes," she breathed, "you must see this. There are photos, documents, spreadsheets, decades of HOA misuse. She bullies anyone who pushes back," Linda explained. "Tom Bradley lost his house because of a bird feeder. 30 years lost. Pets go missing. Gardens wither. Cars keyed. No evidence only terror. I thanked her and spent hours digging through the files, anger smoldering behind my cool. My phone vibrated, a complaint against me lodged with my own federal government. The irony was so rich, it was almost laughable. Margaret was making me investigate her. Another text flashed up on my phone from an anonymous number. Spotted you speaking to Thompson. Busybodies get hurt. 46 hours remaining. I gazed at it, comprehending that this was a form of psychological warfare. Afternoon, I walked out with my own measuring tape, understanding she'd notice. Moments later, a golf cart pulled up, Margaret appearing in her battle gear. Ironed HOA polo, gold visor, authority oozing off her like perspiration. "Mr. Hayes," she said sweetly, "nice to see you correcting those infractions. But keep in mind, all changes require committee approval. Next meeting's 6 weeks from now." I smiled again, unruffled and icy. "As it happens, Margaret, my mailbox is code compliant. Interesting thing about tape measures, depends on who's using them." Her smile faltered. "Are you accusing me of falsifying reports?" "Not accusing, saying," I answered levelly, "and wondering how you measured grass at 2 a.m. Her eyes narrowed, her perfume choking suddenly. "Just like your father," she spat. "He was also smart," right until his heart exploded. "Families have weak hearts." The insult cut like a blade. My father's unexpected death had never been explained to me. I set my jaw. "Margaret," I said softly, "this has to stop, or I'll do what I do best." She snorted, stepping back. "Run off to D.C.? Harrison enjoys educating defectors." As her cart disappeared down the street, I knew she'd made her largest error, revealing her friends. The clock was running, and this war was going to get professionalized. Hour 48 arrived with sunlight too lovely for what lay outside. My grandmother's rose garden was dead and blackened, but only the heirloom roses were ruined. The rest remained untouched. The deputy's tone was devoid of emotion. No evidence, no suspect. I stood there silently nodding. But something Margaret didn't realize was that I had installed cameras the previous night. In the house, I checked the tapes at 3:17 a.m. Margaret's husband Robert sneaked across the lawn with a spray tank. Her voice snarled through his phone. "Just the old roses, Robert. Were the shoes I left behind, 2 sizes larger." Cold, calculating mean. I stored the tape and sat in my grandfather's rocker, pipe tobacco scent anchoring me. The police wouldn't cooperate. The courts belonged to her. That meant there was only one course of action: turn her own rules against her. I phoned a trusted friend, Elena Martinez, a lawyer who'd assisted me in interring a dozen HOA dictators. "Nathan," she groaned, "please inform me you're in combat with an HOA on vacation." "They poisoned my grandmother's roses," I said. "Send me all of it," she said. "But be careful. Small-town politics are more corrosive than D.C. Her words rang in my mind as I sent the files. Then there was a knock. Dorothy Kim, a silver-haired woman with a casserole of kindness and a gentle smile. "Mr. Hayes, you look like you could use lunch," she said quietly. Margaret's escalating faster than normal. Usually she waits a week before the main strike. I welcomed her in. "Your grandmother and I swapped rose cuttings," she explained, smiling weakly. "I still have those Irish ones in my greenhouse. I can return them if you'd like." I swallowed down hard. "Thanks, Dorothy." She patted my hand. "That's what good neighbors do." As we spoke, I inquired about Judge Harrison. Her face hardened. "He owns half this county. He and Margaret have a racket. She drives people out. He buys cheap using shell companies. Then they resell the land for millions. Your ranch is the prize, 60 acres, highway frontage, natural springs. They'll never give up." The pieces fell into place in my mind. "Would you testify?" I asked. Dorothy's eyes turned hard. "By my age, they can't frighten me." After she departed, I reviewed the security feeds once more, and that's when I overheard it. Margaret's voice on the breeze, as clear as a bell. "Yes, Judge Harrison. The pressure is getting to him. He'll cave like his dad. Weak hearts are a family tradition." His voice responded next, indistinct but recognizable. "Good. If he doesn't sell, we'll make him. I've prepared the injunction. That septic tank is our golden ticket." My heart was racing. I had them fraud, conspiracy, perhaps worse. Then another text, 24 hours left. Considered our offer? The family plot is serene. Your father did. That was all. No more playing defense. I said on my laptop. Davidson, I said into the phone, pull every file on Harrison and Willowbrook HOA under the radar and get me patched through to the FBI Public Corruption Unit. Vacation's over. The last day of Margaret's countdown came in theater-style drama. She had summoned an emergency HOA meeting at exactly the 72-hour mark. The hall of the community was full, tension vibrating like static. I snuck in unnoticed, waiting until I could observe before attacking. Margaret was at the podium, queen-like as always. Judge Harrison sitting proudly in the front row. We have serious concerns regarding the Hayes property, she announced. Safety risks, environmental hazards, 200 infractions in 3 days. She activated a remote, triggering doctored images of my ranch. Even her supporters were unsure. This isn't about regulations. It's about the safety of our children. The crowd grumbled, divided. Then she pulled the kill shot. Mr. Hayes is uncooperative, threatens the board members, abuses government authority to intimidate us. We need to protect our people. That was my cue. I strode down the aisle, voice steady but knife sharp. Strong words, Margaret. But you neglected to include the rose garden you poisoned, or your husband's midnight incursion. Gasps echoed across the hall. Margaret's face went stiff. You're in order. This session is adjourned. As a matter of fact, I said, producing a folder from my jacket, Section 12, Paragraph 4, any owner of property may address emergency meetings. You authored that rule. Harrison stood. Son, sit down. You're making this worse. I turned slowly. Tell me, Judge, do you go to every HOA meeting, or just the ones where you've got money riding on it? Silence. And then I played the tape, Margaret and Harrison scheming, laughing over the killing of my father. The room erupted. Fake, she shouted, but even her followers seemed shaken. Dorothy emerged from the crowd. I've seen you destroy families for years, Margaret. The Bradleys, the Johnsons, also this judge could acquire their houses. We knew, but no more. Neighbors screamed in chaos. Margaret pounded her gavel. Enough. Do you want proof? Here's proof. She held up a folder. William Hayes borrowed $50,000 from our fund in 2003. With interest, that's $300,000. His heir owes the debt. I read the document and nearly chuckled. Good forgery, I said softly. But my dad was deployed in Afghanistan in 2003. Difficult to sign from. Kandahar. And one more thing. I gestured toward the door. Elena, enter. She came in between two FBI agents. The notary who signed that document wasn't licensed until 2005, she said icily. And Judge Harrison, your day just took a turn for the worse. Margaret lost color as the agents advanced. You think you've won? She snarled as they handcuffed her. You'll see what I filed tomorrow. But snakes never die easy. My bank accounts were frozen before sunrise. Lawsuits piled at my doorstep. Injunctions filed in the middle of the night. Harrison had begun his counterattack. They're trying to condemn your land as a hazard, Elena was saying on the phone. Judge Thornton's presiding, Harrison's golf partner. Win or lose, they'll take it away from us before we get through the case. My hand shook as I filled the coffee cups. Then we don't let them. File for federal jurisdiction. Tie it in with the corruption investigation. Time to go nuclear. She nodded. I summoned Marcus Chun, my forensic accountant. Tracing money, I told him. Every loan, every foreclosure, past 5 years. 6 hours later, Marcus phoned back, his voice electric. Got them. Phony vendors, shell companies, a ghost cleaning firm owned by Harrison's wife, 800 grand diverted HOA money. This is RICO, Nathan. Racketeering, fraud, conspiracy. I was ready to answer when I spotted him, Robert Williams, alone in the courthouse parking lot, hands trembling. I walked cautiously up to him. Robert, I whispered, you don't have to live in her shadow anymore. He let out a sour laugh. You think I haven't tried? I've been taping her for years, her own safety. Harrison, the foreclosures, even your father. His voice cracked. She killed him. digitalis in his coffee every time he visited. Dubbed it her heart attack special. My knees almost gave way. My dad hadn't died of stress. He'd been murdered. Robert shoved a flash drive into my hand. It's all here. I'll testify. That evening, Harrison phoned. You're playing with fire, Hayes, he growled. I've been invulnerable for 3 decades. I smiled softly. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow, it's over. FBI and IRS will have your whole file. Your empire's done. The following morning, Austin's federal courthouse shone like Judgment Day itself. Reporters clamored outside, cameras popping. Inside, the courtroom hummed with pressure. In orange cuffs, Margaret seemed small and empty, her hubris drained away. Elena got started with flames. Your Honor, what started as a property dispute uncovered a criminal syndicate within city government, embezzlement, racketeering, even murder. Monitors flashed with proof, $3 million in fines, 40% pilfered. Then the recordings. Margaret's slurred voice echoed through the courtroom. Digitalis mimics heart failure. A few drops in his coffee. No autopsy. No suspicion. The room was filled with gasps. My hands trembled, but I stood firm. Then I got on the stand. I'm Nathan Hayes, Executive Director of the National HOA Oversight Division, I stated. 15 years, more than 200 convictions. This is the worst I've ever seen, systematized fraud and killing in the name of community law. Harrison's attorney attempted to spin it, but each word fell under the strain of evidence. Then Harrison himself walked in, handcuffed, vanquished. Margaret glared at me for one final time. You ruined everything, she spat. Your father destroyed my life, and I took my revenge. Her admission condemned her. Judge Reeves' voice boomed down the hallway. This conspiracy used justice as a weapon. All the violations are voided. All of the foreclosures are reversed. Restitution is ordered. The crowd outburst, families sobbing, cheering, finally free. As Margaret was taken away by the deputies, she had whispered, "This isn't over." Perhaps not, but her authority was lost. Weeks passed, and I stood outside 1423 Willowbrook Court, the old Williams home. A moving truck sat idling as Robert unloaded the last box. "Thank you," he said softly, "for allowing me the opportunity to make things right." I nodded. "Earn it." Dorothy came, holding a rose cutting. "Your grandmother used to say the best revenge was a good life," she said. I smiled. She was right. Around us, children played, laughter abounded, color came back to the once terrorized streets. Margaret's fortress was mine, soon to be a community legal clinic, a space to teach others how to resist. Under the light of rehydrated roses, I sensed my father's presence. The war was won, but the mission was just starting. My phone rang, a call from Colorado. "Mr. Hayes, this is Patricia Williams, HOA president here. Margaret was my mentor. We got an issue." I looked at the message and smiled weakly. Neighbor Wars HQ had another tale to tell. Revenge was not my aim anymore. Justice was. Because the truth is, actual neighbors look out for one another. The tyrants? They always end up residing under laws they cannot contort, violate, or bend.